I've been asked to make a video about mental health, which is a very serious issue, and people suffer in silence, and it goes without treatment sometimes as well, and it affects quite a lot of people throughout any walk of life. It doesn't matter who you are, it can happen to anyone, and there's a social stigma attached to it, which is sad, then comes judgment. But mental health can be a psychological and emotional thing, which can affect the behaviour, like depression and anxiety, which is what I have, and or even a more serious spectrum like schizophrenia. I'll go on about that later on. These disorders can affect your well-being on a daily life, on a daily basis, and how you perceive things and how you look at life and stuff. But with mental health, there is a social stigma, which people don't seem to understand. They judge you, thinking, oh, he's crazy, he's nuts, don't bother with him, without looking past that illness. Behind that illness is a person who's just as good as you, and you don't know the story. It can happen to anyone. Yeah, it's just, with mental health, there is, like I say, a social stigma. But what contributes to that illness? This gave me. I've been asked to do it, and it's a good idea because it affects people, especially with recent things as well, with the lockdowns and which gave a lot of isolation, didn't it? Yeah. Well, there's a number of contributing factors, which is an environmental issue, in like unemployment, or how people are treated. It could be sort of like some sort of imbalance. It could be history of mental illness in your family, which is what I have. Bullying can actually add to it, especially when you're introverted and you just don't stand up for yourself, and you take all that and it affects you mentally. You're thinking you're just not good enough, you're not socially acceptable, and you get all these negative thoughts, which I'm sure we all have and would never admit. This is something I wouldn't normally do, but I'm talking to you and I'm sharing that with you. Anyway, today is the 18th of July. It's a Monday morning, and then that's another thing. I mean, when you have the weekend off, you don't go back to work, do you? Just those Monday morning blues. It's all contributing factors, isn't it? Yeah, and then, like I said, with the recent lockdowns because of the pandemic and COVID-19, you couldn't venture out, you couldn't interact with others, and we are social animals, aren't we? Social animals. And then when you have nobody to talk to, it just, and you cut off from society, and you're left there on your own, and you're listening to your negative thoughts, and you believe those thoughts in your head, don't you? Thinking that you're not good enough, you're not worthy. I've had those things. I really have over the years. There's a history of mental health in my own family, on both sides of my family, my mother and my father. My grandfather, Bill, on my mother's side of the family, he had some sort of mental health issues. After his wife died, my grandmother, he took to alcohol and he was drinking as much as he could. So there was alcohol abuse there. It could be we never had any drugs, but also that can be a contributing factor as well. Contributing. Yes, and he'd get upset thinking about his wife, and he ended up in a nursing home eventually, and he died about 9 years ago. On my father's side of the family, there was no drugs. We never had any drugs. There was no drug abuse. But my Uncle Mike, he was a good man. He really was. He was a good man. I never seen him lose his rag. He was one of the most patient men, but he had that dreadful illness, schizophrenia. He had a form of schizophrenia. He would believe things that weren't real. He I can remember me thinking he was in the police force and he'd be going knocking on doors when he wasn't taking his medication. He'd go, is everything all right? And I can remember when there was a psychiatric hospital that he was in, called Tisa Howie, which was in Blackwood. It's not there anymore. It's moved down to Ystrad Mynach. The last time I saw him was in there, and he thought he was a sergeant of a police station, and one of the patients came in and won't walk back out, and my Uncle Mike said, "That's one of my boys." I thought, oh my God, it's sad. And he died eventually. He's only 55, he was, but he had delusions, believing in things that were not real. I can remember he was a patient down Whitchurch Hospital in Cardiff. Now that would be more known to you. Whitchurch, a psychiatric hospital in Cardiff. You can Google that if you like. There's quite a history there of mental health patients. My father and I went to see him, and he just looked a mess. And I didn't understand things like that then, and I never could. And he said, "Max Boyce is in here." Max Boyce, the comedian, the Welsh comedian. So my father and I went looking for Max Boyce because we were gullible. Well, I was anyway. But it was Mike's illness, and he died when he was 55. The effect it had on me, what can I say? When you've got mental health issues on both sides of the family, it's bound to have an effect on me, which it did. There's other issues that I don't want to go into because I'm embarrassed about it. I'm ashamed of it as well, and you shouldn't really. That's what I'm being told. But at some point, I had, mainly in the lockdowns, that's it. I was working for Vanguard Security, and that's when it was going on. I was getting confused. I was forgetting things. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Just one of those things. And I ended up on medication. I used to have Prozac, and now I'm on sertraline, which is, I did have 50 milligrams, now I'm on 100. Now, I've lost touch with a lot of people, so I become reclusive, and I talk to you. That's my only way to keep me sane. You know what I mean? I don't know if it shows, but yeah, they do mock you for it. They call you unrepeatable names, which you can only imagine, and which affects your confidence, your self-confidence, and you think you believe this as well. That's the negative effect it has on you, and it destroys you. It's soul destroying, but you've got to rise above it. The medication does help. I mean, it keeps me calm. The sertraline. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I also had a friend, Gareth, who I've lost touch with because I just got tired of associating with people with this. It was having a negative effect on me. I think you can guess I don't like talking about this. I don't feel comfortable. I'm nervous because it took me a few days to get this together. I'd rather film the cats or something, which they're downstairs and they're playing. It's a nice day out there as well. But let me get this over because, like I said, I've been asked to do this, and as I like to be helpful, I do this for you because I've been asked to do this. Yeah, my friend Guy, he had bipolar disorder. Right, so his moods, he would have extreme mood swings. He'd be high and low and believe things. And there was an issue which I won't go into in 2006, and then we just lost touch. What can I say? That is it, basically. You just have to live with it as best you can. And those who stigmatize you, mock you, ridicule you for what you are, they are the abnormal ones, right? Because they are not living with you 24/7. Anyway, I'll be happier with another video in the future. Like I say, I've in the pipeline is a more definitive history of my hometown of Bargoed, Wales, but I've just got to get more notes together for that. Okay, so the Celtic Druid, over and out. Do you see what I mean? Over and out. My sincere best wishes to all of you.